Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Azren here, owner of the Calgary Language Nerds, and welcome to today's YouTube video and, of course, podcast episode. Today I'm bringing back something that I used to do called Ask Azren, where I would answer your language learning questions. Now, today I don't have questions that you've asked me specifically, but I've gone on Twitter. Actually, I haven't. Sehem has, who's behind the camera. She's gone on Twitter and looked at some different questions that people have asked on Twitter, and we're just going to answer some random people's questions about language learning on this show. So here we go. Okay, do you believe you can learn a language only through speaking? I think you probably could learn a language primarily or only through speaking because lots of people do it. So, for example, one way I've seen many people learn a language just through speaking is they go on a website such as italki.com, so italki.com. It's a website with lots of private tutors as well. Nowadays, I think they have group classes too, but back in the day, it was mostly private tutors. And you can just book classes at relatively, if not very affordable rates. And so I've seen people who just book, one class a day, 2 classes a day, 10 classes a week, 5 classes a week, like lots of classes every single week with a private tutor. And they just try and talk to the person. They don't necessarily take a very grammar focused approach or a reading and writing focused approach, structured approach. They just have like 7 teachers on italki and they just take regular classes with all 7 because often it can be extremely affordable. I've actually done that myself at times where I just go find like 4 people on italki and talk with them as often as I possibly can, paying $7 an hour or whatever their rate is. So I think this question of can you learn a language only through speaking, I do think it's possible per se to take a speaking focused approach and for it to be effective. It's not the only way to learn a language, of course, but I think that can be a very effective way. Do you think I'd learn Spanish faster? Do you think I'd learn Spanish faster if I watched TV in Spanish? Okay, so here's the thing. If you already have a higher level in Spanish, maybe an upper intermediate level, maybe advanced level, I think watching TV can be very helpful. You will learn different slang, different vocabulary, get used to different accents, for example. I think it can help, but I'm just going to make an assumption. I could be wrong, but I'm going to make an assumption that this individual here is someone who's more of a beginner in Spanish and not really someone who's that advanced. Could be wrong, but I'm making that assumption. And as a beginner, for most people, trying to learn a language by watching television, by watching Netflix, for example, that's not going to be all that effective. Now, little caveat. There are exceptions. I have met people over the years that somehow turn TV on, they watch different shows, and somehow they just learn the language. And so there are exceptions to the rule, and so you're more than welcome to give it a try and see if it works for you. However, in my experience, for the majority, beginners, let's say, maybe even intermediate learners, but definitely beginners, watching TV isn't highly likely to help you learn a language faster. I want to learn French so bad. I'm lazy though. How do you learn a language? So I have a lot to say here. So I would actually dig into what you mean by I'm so lazy. Like there's probably a lot in that hacked into that statement. What do you mean you're lazy? It could just mean that you don't know how to go about it, and so you feel lazy. You don't do anything because you don't know what pathway to follow. So you sit there doing nothing about it. It could be that you're not, like literally, it could just be that you don't sleep very much, so you feel very lazy and tired throughout the day because you're not sleeping. It could be that you live a very stressful life. It could be that, like, I don't know, it could be that you smoke too much marijuana. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, but I would probably dig into like, why do you feel so lazy? That's a great place to start in that question. Also, I would also question you like, why do you want to learn French so bad? Because people often say, I want to do this so badly. I think it's worth digging into that. First of all, why, if you want to learn it so badly, why aren't you learning it? Like, what's holding you back? What's holding you back from learning French if you want to do it so badly? And to actually address those things. It is probably worth like thinking about like why you're not learning it when you want to do it so badly, right? In terms of the third part of the question, like how do you learn a language? In the beginning phases, honestly, if you haven't even started, in the beginning phases, I think it's just about getting started in a way that appeals to you. And it doesn't really matter so much, maybe, in the beginning phases if what you're doing is right or wrong per se. You can optimize a little bit later. If you have no routine of learning a language, any routine is better than no routine. Like literally, that's a good little like quote unquote. If you literally have no routine and you're just sitting there day after day, week after week, month after month, thinking about, oh my God, how do I learn a language? I want to learn a language. I can't learn a language. Oh my God, how do I do this? I want to do this, but I can't do this. I'm so lazy. And you have all those thoughts going through your mind. Literally, it doesn't matter how you start. Download Duolingo and just start using Duolingo 5 minutes a day, because it's so much better than what you've been doing for the past 6 months, sitting there thinking, oh my God, how do I learn a language? I can't do this. It's so hard, blah, 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 blah. The best way to learn a language is to speak to natives. Oh my God, this is such a hilarious picture too. There's like a dude. This says, I think this is the coding question. It's not even like a spoken language question, which is kind of funny. There's a dude beside a snake, and it's a python. And this person who's asked the question says, "There's that person learning Python." Anyway, I think there is some truth to that, where you can learn a language by speaking to native speakers. There's some truth to it, but it's not a statement you can make to everyone that's always true. You can't look at everyone and say the best way to learn a language is go talk to native speakers, because that's going to have a hit and miss effectiveness. So for example, like the context of how someone talks to a native speaker will make a big difference. If someone thought, okay, talk to native speakers, let me go on italki.com and book lessons, great. Whereas person number two says, oh, I'll just talk native speakers, and they go to the Chinese restaurant and they're trying to speak in Mandarin, and then the Mandarin person laughs at them, maybe, who knows, right? And then you get crushed, and then you're scarred emotionally, and then you never want to talk to someone again. And then person B thinks, oh my God, I'll never talk to someone. That was so scary. That was an awful experience. So I don't think you can say the best way is to just talk to native speakers. I don't think necessarily that's true, but it can work. Probably the thing to look at is your personality. Like I remember when I was in Beijing, this is in 2015, maybe 2016, I can't remember. But I was in Beijing, and there's a guy who learned Mandarin by going and working out with these senior citizens. Not working out, but they do those dances outside. A lot of the seniors in China, you'll see them doing this kind of dance outside, and he would just go and join them and hang out with them, and that is how he learned Mandarin. That was a story my teacher is telling me. So again, I think there can be some value in talking to native speakers, and it can be very effective, but it's not a blanket statement you can make to everyone to say, go talk to native speakers, and yeah, it's just going to work. Is that it?
No.
Do we have more? All right, well, I got to do a conclusion. Don't turn it off.
Oh, sorry.
Please don't edit that out. Leave that in there.
Okay, sure.
Well, everyone, thank you for watching. I appreciate your attention. If you have any questions you want to submit for this, any comments, whatever it is, you can leave them in the comments of this video / podcast. Or you can just go to azrenthelanguagenerd.com/contact. My email is there. All my social media is there. Everything's on that one page. Again, that's AZREN thelanguagenerd.com/contact. And yeah, have a great day. See you guys.